Welcome to episode 7 of the Cloud Education webinar series, Stump the Professor, brought to you by Matrix Integrated Solutions. My name is Nate Williams. I'll be your host for today. Joining me is our panel of Sage ERP experts. Let's welcome to the show Dave Scorefield, Larry Cox, and Jeremy Russell. Hi, guys. How's it going?
Morning.
Hanging in there?
Good morning. Good morning.
Excellent. Well, hey, look, I really appreciate you guys joining me today and probably appreciate more the opportunity to stump you. So without further ado, let's get into talking about what the agenda is for today. I'll give you guys a little bit of a heads up, just a little one, okay? So first, we're going to talk about questions about Sage 100. Some popular ones that we get all the time are frequently asked questions. So our support desk, as everybody knows, we take many calls and we're available throughout the week to answer all your questions, but we're going to give you some of the top questions that we see from our support desk. So I'm going to stump you guys there too. Questions about the cloud that could go on, but I'll try to be succinct with it. So, and then last, I'll try and stump you with some of what are the hottest third-party apps being used with Sage right now. So how does that sound, guys? You all right with that?
Sounds good.
Awesome.
Get a roll.
Okay. I'm going to start with my guy, Larry. Mr. Cox, my question for you is about Sage 100. And the question is very simple. What is the most underused pieces that you're seeing out there with your client base?
Well, I think clients, I'm a lot like my clients. I get up and do what I do every day, and sometimes I don't really look for different ways of doing things. And I think that's the case with Sage software a lot of times, that you're doing what you do every day, but don't realize there might be other pieces in the software you could use to make yourself more efficient and effective. So one right off the top of that is paperless office. The ability to automatically email customer invoices and statements. You can save an awful lot of time in terms of stuffing envelopes and as well as saving money on stamps and paper and all those types of things. A lot of our customers, we still have customers that we're getting to implement that type of functionality. And as well as, some of our customers still are printing their journals and registers. If you set paperless office up to automatically save PDF versions of reports and forms and that type of thing, they're still accessible, you can use them, but you're not printing them off and taking the time to stuff them into a folder and finding a filing cabinet. We try to encourage customers to do that type of thing. The BI views and data extractions, a lot of times we hear that hey, we're doing all this, but I wish I could find the data that's in there in the way that I want to see it. Using the BI views, you can somewhat customize the views of the data tables that you want to see, and you can save them as public or private if you want, and you can push them out to Excel, you can print them, you can do a variety of different things with those, as well as we're also just using basic Microsoft query and the ODBC drivers within the software to pull the information that you want out of the particular tables you want right into an Excel or things like that for analysis. Something that we're hearing a lot of these days is, with prices and the inflation doing what they're doing, yep. There's concern, and we're concerned too, that sometimes it's not the same game that it was a year or two ago. So it's more important than ever to watch what's going on with your financials and to actually put your budgets within the Sage software, so you can run your reports and highlight when you have a particular cost center that is starting to get a little out of control. So that's something that we're trying to encourage customers to use. And then custom office is another one, the ability to add fields if there's a field of particular interest that you want, the ability to customize screens, to change tab orders, things like that. There's an awful lot you can do with custom office that can really improve productivity. So I would say those would be the 4 top ones that
That's
Good.
awesome. Thank you. We genuinely appreciate that. And of course, if anybody has questions, you can email us at info@matrixintegrated.com, or at the end, I'll have some email addresses. Reach out to us individually. If we can help you get any of that stuff started, please don't hesitate to reach out. The conversation's free. Dave, you're up next. My question for you is, what are the top enhancements in the new version 2021 and 2020? 2020 still new.
Yeah, so new in 2021, we finally got a purchases clearing report with a cutoff date. For those of you that have been using the software forever, you know the challenge of trying to reconcile the purchases clearing account and the fact that the purchases clearing report in prior versions didn't offer a cutoff. So we would always recommend that you just run that report close to the end of the month, reconcile it, call it good enough, and then move forward. Well, in 2021, they've released now the purchases clearing from history report, which is on the period end menu in the purchase order module, but it does then offer you the ability to run that purchases clearing report as a cutoff date, similar to all the trial balance reports in the other modules. So that's a big add in 2021. Really then what allowed that to happen in 2021 is they've now given us the ability through receipt history inquiry in the purchase order module to see the invoice. So in previous versions, you could see an invoice number, but then you had to go over to the accounts payable module to see the individual line items that were invoiced on a purchase order. Now in 2021, you can go into receipt history inquiry, pull up the PO, see all the invoices, but then in addition to that, you can then see the line detail of those invoices. So you can see line by line on the PO what was invoiced. They've also built out a lot of capability around paperless office and emailing documents. So now we have the ability to format the emails that go out of paperless office. So you can control fonts, you can control, make things bold, italic, you can do colors, that type of thing. So a lot of enhancements around that. But then they've also included now error log reporting. So now within paperless office, they've got a customer and a vendor electronic delivery inquiry screen, so that after you print a batch of invoices, you can go in and see the delivery results on that batch. In previous versions, after you ran it, it just came up with a summary screen, and it would show you the number of successful, number of failed emails. Now you can actually go in and by batch, look at that entire batch and determine the delivery results. So you'll know which ones were successful, which ones failed. And then the last one actually goes back to the 2020 release. And this is a big one. They've now got the ability, given us the ability to reverse a check run. So if you have a big check run and for some reason your printer gets messed up or you print them on the wrong check numbers, previously we had no way to reverse that. You'd have to go in one at a time and once it's been updated. So if it hadn't been updated, you could delete it, right? But once you've updated it, you have to go back and void those checks out. They've now got on the utilities menu and accounts payable, the ability to reverse an entire check run automatically without having to go through the process of voiding those. So those are probably the biggest wins in 2020, 2020 and 2021, and I think good reasons to consider potentially upgrading if you're not on either one of those versions.
Yeah, folks, excellent. That's a lot of good data right there about Sage 100. So again, if you have any questions or we can expand further on anything, please feel free to reach out to us. But I want to move into some support desk questions. So our next question is going to be for Dave, since I got you here. We get this question a lot. I hear it a lot. How do you fix paperless office? It's not working.
Yeah, we get this probably once a week. We actually queried Sue, who covers our help desk a lot of days. Many of you have worked with her, and this was the #1 request that comes in. Typically what happens is we have a computer that may take a Windows update or some other piece of software is installed, and it breaks the paperless office PDF converter, which is the component that actually takes your journals, registers, and reports and turns them into PDF documents. And so that actually installs when you install the workstation, but something stomps on top of that and breaks it. And it typically results in, like, I don't know, you see like an error 41 or a printer not activated error when you go to print something through the paperless PDF converter. So pretty simple fix. If you've got permissions to do it right on the launcher, the Sage launcher, you can go into File, Run, and it'll bring up a program box where you can type in a program name that's actually a utility that's hidden. So it's not a task on a menu, but it'll bring up a program box, and you type in PL underscore advanced options underscore UI, PL underscore advanced options underscore UI. Many of you may have seen Sue run this, and it just brings up a screen that then allows you to reinstall the paperless Office PDF converter. So it allows you to uninstall it, install it, test it. It's got several options, but normally what we'll do is we'll just run that utility, we'll reinstall the PDF converter, and that normally will fix the problem then.
That's really helpful. So 2 things real quick for everybody. If you didn't write down the underscore that Dave gave you, just rewind the show back a couple seconds and write that down. Or if we can help you with it, we'd be happy to take your call. Number 2, and I'm glad that you brought it up, Dave, is Sue Tompkins. Sue Tompkins is a rock star. She's been with Matrix for a very long time. So I just want to take a moment to say thank you, Sue, for everything you do, and from all of us here at Matrix, of course. You couldn't join us today, but we certainly feel your presence. So thanks for your contribution. That being said, I'm going to hit Larry with the hard one. Your AR invoice shows as being paid, but it's really open. What do I do?
Yeah, well, the way the software works is it's a control put in to keep 2 people from putting a cash receipt off on the same invoice at the same time. So what happens is an invoice will remain in open invoices, but there can be a flag tripped on it that says that it's currently being paid. So even though it shows as open, you try to put a cash receipt against it, you cannot. And it's a very simple fix. Again, it's very much like Dave was saying. Again, there's quick utility that you can run.
Oh, nice.
If you go to the upper left, click on in the Sage, click on File, Run, and type in ARW AR4. That's ARW AR4, and run that. It'll ask you what what bank code you're doing it against, but then go ahead and run that, and that will go release the trip on the flag on all the invoices. Just be careful that if you're going to run that, don't have that other cash receipt in process, because that could affect it. So make sure no other cash receipts are in process. Run that, and it'll relieve that flag, and you can apply cash against an invoice.
And as always, if you don't get it on your own, give us a call. We'll be happy to help you with it. Right. So my final question is for you, Jeremy. Come on in. I've got a printing question for you. So printing is delayed when accessing over remote desktop. It takes forever. What can we do?
Yeah, we've seen this come up in the recent months as we all have experienced COVID and people working from home and firing up remote desktop as an option to access Sage from other places other than the office. So that being said, remote printing in Microsoft RDP is kind of always been known as an issue. The delay of when you click on print, it's taking 10 to 15 seconds to generate the job, and then another 5 to 10 to send it to the printer. It is a known issue. It's kind of just the way of the world, and sometimes you get used to it. But when you move away from running in a local network and then move to RDP, it really seems like it gets exaggerated. And I think we've worked with a group, Summit Hosting, which is one of our partners in hosting solutions for Sage 100, has come up with a solution called TS Print. That's T as in Tom, S as in Sam. Print as a solution that you can load on your environment, and it essentially helps that and makes it instantaneous when you preview or print a job inside of the environment. There's some other tricks to make it a little bit smoother through Microsoft, and your IT group can really help you. But the one solution that seems to be rising to the top is this TS Print to help us in that arena.
That's really helpful, and thanks all of you guys, because like I said, these are questions that we get all the time. So Feel free to replay the show as many times as you need, gather that information, because there's a good chance that you could run into it. As always, give us a call. If it gets to be too much, we'll be happy to help you. Our next section is the illustrious cloud, and there's a lot of questions about the cloud. It's actually in the name of our education series, right? So a very simple and basic question that I got for you, Larry. Does Sage 100 run in the cloud?
Well, it can. A cloud, in my definition, is basically you've got a server somewhere. As Jeremy said, it be through Google or one of the other services. It could be a individual hosting provider, but all of those above, you can actually install the Sage 100 up on a server and in the cloud and be able to run it remotely from really any location. So we've got quite a few clients that have done that and are pretty happy with the remote capability of doing it that way, as well as knowing that someone is backing up the system on a regular basis, as well as giving them some redundancy. So yes, it can run in the cloud.
Excellent, excellent. And Jeremy, I've got a question for you here, and that is basically, what's the differences in remote access?
Yeah, and I think when we're specifically talking around Sage 100, the remote access really is RDP, remote desktop, from Microsoft as a solution. There is a solution out there that some other providers utilize, which is called Remote App, which is an ability to access an application on a remote desktop and not have to worry about running the whole desktop, but just running the app within an RDP session. So there's a couple of different ways to kind of get to the same aspect, which is running Sage 100 remotely. Kind of as we kind of roll down the future and looking at applications, especially in the ERP space or the accounting software space, we see new applications like Acumatica, Intact, NetSuite. Those are some that we don't represent, and one that we do with Acumatica, as we kind of look at our world and say, as people want to get into an environment to access their accounting system or their systems in general through a browser, that's kind of the next stage, which is rather than needing a desktop or needing a workstation application that runs on a desktop, I'm just going to get on my phone inside of Chrome or in Safari or Internet Explorer, and I'm going to get to the application, and it will be sized to the device that I'm on, and
It's responsive.
It's responsive to that access. So the two different ways right now to access the system: Sage 100, it's remote desktop or remote app through Microsoft RDP sessions. Or if you're interested in moving to a browser-based solution, Matrix is decided to take on Acumatica as a solution, which would replace Sage 100 and be an application that can be accessed in that true cloud environment and through a browser.
Well, that's a good question. And Stump number 3 for the cloud. I know I'm going to get one of you guys on this one. I'm going to pick Jeremy. What is the definition of cloud?
Yeah, and that is kind of a loaded question. I think it's an interesting.
Try.
It's kind of like when we ask, someone says, "I need CRM," and we say, "What is your definition of CRM?" There's a lot of different variables out there, and I think it really comes down to boiling it down to two major ways to look at the cloud. One is your environment in the cloud. Larry brought up in number one, can we run a server on AWS, Amazon Web Services? Can we run it in Google Cloud? Do we team with someone like a Summit Hosting, which has their own data center and their own servers running to manage our environment, and putting all our applications and our IT environment up in the cloud to run everything we need to be successful in business, whether that be Sage 100 or whether it be Outlook or Office 365. And we run those kind of in a combination of server-based applications tied to applications like Office 365, or if you think about Gmail, you don't know where Gmail is running. It's just out there and it runs. And that's really the next definition of the cloud is I don't really care where the application's at. I'm not managing any of the environment. It's just a product that I come and log into and I have access
Do my
to
business, get out.
utilize.
Yep.
So cloud, you know, cloud can be defined as just putting your environment out there, or it can be applications that are running in an environment that you don't manage, just get access to via browsers.
So maybe a better question than, instead of what's the definition of cloud, is what are you looking to achieve through cloud functionality, right?
Right.
And that, of course, is something that we specialize in. We've been doing for quite a long time, so we'd be happy to have a conversation with you about that. If there's still any confusion about what the cloud can do for you, bring to your company, we've said many times, with everybody working remotely, having that ability to communicate is now more paramount than ever. So give us a call. We'd be happy to help you with that.
Yeah, I think the other thought on that is you might end up in a hybrid world where you really have a huge value statement in your accounting system. And in a lot of our clients' case, obviously Sage 100. But there's applications that are cloud-based that kind of bolt into Sage 100, like Avatax or Avalara with Avatax, or Sage Inventory Advisor. Those are cloud-based systems that are going to a maybe non-cloud because it's running on a local server, or it's running in a server in the cloud, but it's still accessing in a different way.
This is great. I appreciate you guys going deep and giving us this valuable information. And we're going to close here with what we see are the hottest third-party apps in demand, if you will. And the first one that I'm going to send out is for Jeremy. It's a product called eRequester. Jeremy, can you tell us a little bit about eRequester?
Yeah, and I think Larry hit upon it a minute ago, which is in the world we're in with inflation and sort of supply chain interruption. We see that in the news every day on a daily anymore. The question really comes down to, how do I order the right stuff? How do I make sure I'm getting the best price for that right stuff? How do I make sure that process of someone wanting to buy something in my office or in my business is getting approved through the right channel, that they're not overspending on something, that it's going to the right person to get approved. And so eRequester is a solution that is accessible through the web, through a web browser, for someone in your organization to say, I need to buy this type of product, whether that be a product we sell or a new laptop or a printer, something for office use. But I'm going to put a request in, and that request goes through a channel and a workflow to the right people to get approved, to ultimately end up being a purchase order within Sage 100 for accounting, tracking, and receiving of goods and invoice. So it's a great tool to open up that spend control is sort of the idea, or the term, but it really opens it up to the entire business because it's being a browser-based solution. We don't have to get users to Sage 100. We get users to eRequester to make those requests and requisitions in a browser. So really powerful tool, and a lot of people are interested as we kind of see the world changing and prices going up. Excellent.
Thank you, Jeremy. So my next one is for Dave. Dave, ScanForce is a mobility and warehouse management solution. Can you give us a little info and insight on that?
Yeah, so ScanForce is a partner we've been working with for a number of years that offers a portfolio of products that are, scanning and barcode scanning and mobility solutions. Primarily, they started out with a warehouse management system. So anything, if you're a distributor, if you're a manufacturer, any transaction that would be inventory could be something that could be scanned on a handheld device, a remote device that's carried around the warehouse, and then automatically synced into your Sage database. So they've really taken all of the inventory transactions that you would do, PO receiving, SO shipping, inventory transfers, adjustments, physical counts, right? Any of those transactions, and they put them on handheld devices and giving you the ability to scan those transactions on the handheld devices. If you're a manufacturer, they've also got integration into the production modules with Sage 100. So bill of material production transactions, work order transactions, so material issues to work orders, labor issues to work orders. All of those transactions can be scanned on a handheld device and then ultimately create the transaction in Sage 100. And then the other component that they've got is a remote sales solution. So they've got an application that'll run on an iPad that is designed to actually collect orders, quotes. So if you have salespeople that are out in the field, the ability to create quotes, orders, as well as invoices right from with the remote device.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Dave. I'll take it actually the next one, and I got to be careful because I could talk for quite a while here, but it's Sage CRM. And Sage CRM, we all know it's not a third party, it's a Sage product, but the point of it is that to be able to use it thoroughly, there's some training, some basic training that we can help you with to get started. And the lure behind Sage CRM is it pulls your Sage 100 data live into the CRM program. And we live in a world of customer experience, and it's not even just customer experience, it's almost customer expectations, right? So having a CRM program inherently without having to spend any more time on it, obviously there's tremendous value in keeping track of quotes, conversations, opportunities, all the things of the like. But there's also an option with CRM. They have plugins for, say, MailChimp. You're getting our cloud education webinar series invites through MailChimp integration. So that's one of the ways that we like to use it. There's also an opportunities section. So if your sales team meets once a week, twice a week, however often you need to, you can keep track of your own opportunities and report on that weekly. We've also partnered with a company that's out of Wisconsin called Effective Solutions. And I'd be happy to get you a 1 hour. There's no charge for our guy Don to take a look at your system, talk to you about the basic integration, some of the advanced tools that they have. So there's a lot that we can do with CRM. And again, not to eat up all the time, but I would love to hear from you if there's anything further that we can provide you with some information on that. Just reach out to Nate Williams. And with that said, I've got one last one for Jeremy. Jeremy, there's a lot of DSD enhancements in their library, and there's also Sage customizations that we're hearing about a lot. Can you give us some insight on that?
Yeah, I think when we look at Sage 100 and its longevity in the market, you really see a lot of people out there in the world, DSD being one of them, and one that we're affiliated very tightly with. But there's catalogs of enhancements out there. So, you want to generate a purchase order from a sales order, and you want it to do X function in the middle of that and bring some data over. They may have a solution for that, or maybe a pricing matrix or something around pricing that needs to be done. There's a lot of these enhancements that are kind of off the shelf, things that can be accomplished by just downloading a plugin or enhancement from their library and make that happen. We also see customizations from a standpoint of, we need something particular to happen, but there isn't an enhancement in a library from someone like DSD. Can we have a programmer look at the system and create that script or create that program to make that happen? And we definitely have some resources to do that. So always the first kind of mode of operation is to look at the library, offered by people like DSD to see if there's something already available to kind of take off the shelf without with other people using it, not total customization, and then kind of more backpedal to, can we hire someone to do it, and how does it infiltrate the system? Is it a big enhancement? Think of a shirt size, small, medium, large. How deep is it, and is it really worth it? Because all of a sudden we have to maintain that through the life of the system as a whole. So we'll make sure it's the right mode as well.
Yeah.
But if
Excellent.
there's something you need, we can definitely look into the libraries to kind of see if there's something there and then go down the customization path if needed.
Oh, that's wonderful. And guys, I just want to take this second to say I appreciate you spending your time answering my stumps. I don't know that I got you on anything, so maybe if you're watching and you could think of a stump, please email it to info@matrixintegrated.com. We'll be sure to put it on the screen as well too. But as part of our ongoing webinar series, we want to let you know about our upcoming episode. It's going to be hosted by our own Jeremy Russell. We're going to talk about options for working remotely. Again, you'll see the MailChimp invite come to your inbox, so make sure you check it out. And if you'd like, sign up for the live event. If you can't make the live event, we'll make sure to send you the recording. Same with this one that we're getting ready to produce right now. If you have any questions or if there are any projects that you'd like to even talk about, solutions that you're interested in evaluating, reach out to any of the four of us on the screen by email. Of course, you can call the phone number as well too. Everything that we're looking to do is to help your business and help you understand how Sage works with your business. So you may have a separate question that we didn't address here. That's great. Get a hold of us. We're looking forward to talking to you. Everybody enjoy your afternoon. Thanks for joining us for this Cloud Education webinar series.